Hey, what's up, Spencer? My name is everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So not that long ago, I released a video about Nikocado Avocado because recently he has put out a video that revealed that he has lost an astonishing 250 pounds and was somehow able to keep it from the internet for 2 whole years. Nick has been a fairly controversial figure in the mukbang community, especially recently because he has been eating more and more food and gaining more and more weight to the point that people were starting to become really concerned about him and his health. And of course, this triggered a lot of conversation about him and mukbang in general. Are his viewers promoting unhealthy eating habits by continuing to watch and consume his content? Or is Nick fully in control of everything that he puts in his body? Should we never comment on people's bodies and the choices that they're making with it? Or is there a point in which once a line has been overstepped, people are allowed to raise concerns and say that they're not very happy with the choices that somebody is making? Now that he has lost the weight, a lot of people are quite happy with this decision that he has made in his life, mainly because people didn't want to watch him eat himself to death by consuming 50 pounds of spicy taki ramen every day. And I do think it is important to say that that could still possibly happen. Like, somebody's weight is not an indicator of their health. So just because he has lost a bunch of weight doesn't necessarily mean that he is making healthy choices now. But that's completely besides the point. What is the point is that people do not want to watch other people eat themselves to death, especially for the internet's entertainment, which unfortunately is the case for the person we're going to be talking about today. Pan Xiaoting was a 24-year-old waitress who wanted to make it big in the mukbang community. She started making mukbang videos as a side hustle, and because it is kind of an oversaturated genre at this point, she did have quite a hard time starting out. But once she added the element of more food to her streams, she started to gain notoriety. So much so that she was actually able to quit her job as a waitress and make mukbang her main income, making so much money that she was even able to rent out a house in order to stream in. Unfortunately, her parents were not very supportive of her and her career decisions, mainly due to the weight that she was gaining, secondary to all the food that she was eating. And man, if you thought that fat phobia was bad here in the West, it is even more so in Asia. Countries such as Japan even have laws about how much you are allowed to weigh and will go so far as to fine the company you work for if you happen to surpass that limit. But fat phobia aside, it does seem as though Pan's parents did have some grounds to be concerned because she was hospitalized for gastric bleeding due to the amount of food that she was consuming every single day. However, it seems that Pan was not as concerned about her health as she quickly went back to streaming against medical advice. On July 14th, during a 10-hour mukbang, Pan ended up consuming about 10 kilograms worth of food, which, if you're a dumb American like me, is 22 pounds worth of food. During the stream, her stomach did rupture, which led to her passing out, and many of the people who were watching the stream at the time did try and contact proper authorities to get her some help, but unfortunately they arrived too late and she did pass away. Now, apparently China has made mukbang illegal to try and dissuade things like this from happening, but I believe the punishment for it is just like a $1,400 fine. So if you are somebody who has a larger following, this isn't really going to dissuade you a lot because you can easily just pay the fine and continue on. And if you look up this story, you are most likely going to come across a Reddit thread on the Reddit forum Darwin Awards. And honestly, some of the things that people are saying on there is not very nice. Like, yes, she did do this to herself, and yes, she did go against the advice that medical professionals were giving her, but some of the things that people are saying I think is a little mean. I mean, someone died? And anytime that happens, I think that that's a very unfortunate circumstance, no matter how it came about. Like, I'm sorry, but I just really don't think that anybody deserves to die, even if they are making dumb decisions with their life. Instead, I feel like this situation should have us thinking that wow, clearly this woman felt it was more important to continue creating content for her followers than it was to prioritize her health. Like, maybe she felt that if she had told her followers that she was going to take a break from streaming for a while, or that she was going to decrease the amount of food she was eating on her streams, that she would have lost all of the progress that she had made up until now. And this really just made me start thinking about things like the psychology behind mukbang, why so many people end up watching this stuff, and a lot of stuff around bodily autonomy. So in the next part of this video, we are going to be talking about that. So first, the psychology behind mukbang. Why is it so popular? Why do so many people watch other people eating? Well, in this study that I found from the National Library of Medicine, it has pinpointed 5 major reasons why people like mukbang. And those reasons are entertainment, digital commensality, parasocial effect, fetish, and escapism and dieting. So for the first factor, entertainment, I would definitely have to agree that this is a major factor into why so many people like mukbang. Lots of mukbangers eat massive amounts of food. Like, I am routinely amazed by how much food is being consumed in these streams. I mean, I can barely get through a single meal at Cracker Barrel without asking for a box, while as these people are consuming the equivalent of a meal for a family of 4 all by themselves. That's just an incredible thing to watch in and of itself. Not to mention, when you cross mukbang over with other popular genres, it makes it even more appealing. People watch Nikocado Avocado for the drama, and I know there's several other mukbangers who also talk about true crime or other internet drama while they are doing their mukbang meal.
Because are you depressed? Like I said, that's a little bit aggressive. That's so spicy. But genuine question, are you a little depressed? Or maybe you're a little bit anxious. Maybe you're hearing some voices in your head, ones that probably shouldn't be there. And that's okay, because it's mental illness, babes.
So obviously, this makes it very easy to get into mukbang videos. This study also mentions the ASMR factor to it, the fact that a lot of these videos come with very specific noises that you are not going to hear from other types of videos, and other types of exclamations that people who are eating are making. I had one client who was very into mukbang, and it was very clearly due to the sounds that were being produced, because he wouldn't watch any in which people were talking. They were just making that smacking noise, and like whatever the noodles, when you mix them all together, that sound, that the good pussy sound.
That's what good pussy sounds like.
Yeah, a lot of people like that stuff. The second factor is digital commensality, which I didn't know what that was at first, but apparently commensality is when you eat together with other people. So this study talks about how there has been a really big increase in loneliness in our society and people living independently in general, which means that a lot of people are eating meals by themselves now. So when people are watching these mukbang videos while eating their own meal, it can create this artificial feeling of eating together with other people, which I can see as how this is a huge draw, and definitely factors into the next part that the study identified, which is the parasocial relationship. And a parasocial relationship is when you feel as though you have a personal relationship with somebody who you have only met on the internet. And I'm not really talking about like a friends that you made on Twitter who you may DM just about every day. I'm talking about people who you have only consumed their content and have not talked to on a personal level. And yet it kind of feels as though you know and are friendly with this person. So those are 3 factors down. The next one, I don't think that I really need to get into. I think it's pretty straightforward as to what this is. And reason 5 is escapism and dieting. So watching these videos can create a level of escapism. It can allow the viewers to get away from whatever bad thing is happening in their life, which I think is true for any media you may be consuming. But the interesting thing about watching mukbang videos is apparently if you watch somebody else consume something, it can give you the feeling of having eaten it, even if not a single bite has passed your lips. And this can easily create both a positive and a negative effect. Somebody who may really struggle with binging food may watch these videos in order to give themselves that feeling that they have eaten all of this food without actually having to go and do it. While on the other hand, anorexia can develop because somebody may be using these videos to make them feel as though they have eaten when they actually haven't eaten anything at all. This study also points out how watching videos of primarily skinny people eating such a large amount of processed food so consistently and not really having any ill effects from it can lead other people to think that they can do the same thing when that really isn't the case. And if you're wondering how the skinny people do it, I'm going to guess that it's probably a combination of a medical disorder, or they are spending a lot of time off camera exercising and burning off all of the food that they are consuming. So that is the psychology behind the people who watch mukbang. But what about the people who create mukbang? Well, unfortunately, there doesn't really seem to be a lot of articles or studies around the people who make mukbang. And when going more into the conversation of things like bodily autonomy, it seems like a lot of the conversation skews towards women's right to choose, which I understand, but also is not what we're talking about here. And just so that we are all on the same page, bodily autonomy means having the right to choose what happens to your body. It's having the right to be able to get tattoos and piercings, to be able to get pregnant or get on birth control, to have a haircut, basically anything that is happening to your body. You deserve the right to choose what that thing is. But legally, there are also limits to bodily autonomy. And I am not at all talking about women's right to choose right now. That is not the conversation that I'm having. What I mean by that is that, for example, were grandma to get diagnosed with Alzheimer's, as the condition progresses, eventually she will lose her right to bodily autonomy. And that is because the disease has progressed to a place where it seems like she is not mentally sound and in a good mindset to be able to make proper, informed decisions about what is happening to her. I mean, if grandma genuinely believes that Jimmy Carter is still president and that the man who mops the floor every night is her husband, even though her husband died 11 years ago, she probably isn't the best person to be making decisions about surgeries and medication. And in that time, the decision will usually be passed on to a family member, or if there isn't a family member, a court-appointed social worker. Now, obviously, this circumstance does not apply to Pan at all because she was completely mentally sound. She had medical advice, so she was making a fully informed decision when she decided to continue streaming. However, it does still feel, at least to me, that the people who are being like, oh, well, what did you expect to happen, are being a little callous about the situation. Surely we can fully recognize somebody's right to bodily autonomy while also noticing that this is a tragic situation and thinking that we should probably enact some measures to make sure it doesn't happen again, right? I mean, I don't want anybody to die from overeating, even if they are fully choosing to consume that much food. But I'm also not sure what the solution would be. You can only help people who want to be helped, and it seems like Pan didn't want help. I don't know, this is a complicated situation where I feel like many opinions are valid, especially once we start factoring in social media and the role that that plays. Should we start banning mukbang accounts to try and deter people from doing this type of stuff, or should we let people continue to do it, but just talk about what the dangers are? Should we make mukbangers take some sort of class so they're at least definitely aware of the dangers that come with it, or should we limit how much people are allowed to eat on camera? I don't know. I'm just one guy. All in all, I think that mukbang can be a positive influence on the community. I really do like the way that it helps out a lot of people and lets people feel less lonely. But I do think that we should be talking about the dangers that can come with it and how some people can fall down these horrible holes that lead them to terrible places. Let me know your thoughts about the situation in the comments down below. Like I said, I feel like multiple opinions are valid, so I would love to hear yours. If you like this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more like it. If you're interested to see what else I'm doing, definitely check out my art blog to see what art I'm making, or you can follow me on Instagram to see what I'm currently reading. But besides that, thank you so much for hanging out for me. Make sure that you stay safe, and I hope that you have a fantastic day. Bye.